Hi guys, welcome to my channel Guy with a Plant. In today's episode, we will be doing some plant chores which are long overdue. They need to be done. They need to be done by today. So if you are interested to watch something like that, join me. Okay, let's start with the easiest task first, and that is to pot this baby, this Thai Beauty Caladium bulb. This has been sitting in a dry space for a few months now, since December. When I first got the Caladium, it had about 2 leaves, and then subsequently it grew new leaves, and then some died back, and eventually there were no more leaves, so just a bulb. I decided to dig it out and dry it, wash it, dry it, and then kept it. So it's been dormant for a few months. So it's time to wake this baby up. Okay, this is going to be very easy. I'm going to use a general potting mix with some perlite and this nursery plastic pot with some holes. So I'm going to use some cocoa chips to block out the holes so that the soil will not go through. So about 3/4 ways up, and I'm just going to put the bulb in. More soil. And done. Just going to give it a drink of water. Okay, next I'm going to remove this Dieffenbachia, and the next chore is to basically repot this. It's sitting in a pot that is way too small for it. I received this variegated Dieffenbachia Big Ben from Indonesia maybe 2 months ago. It came bare rooted, so I potted it up in this small terracotta pot with this really well draining aeroid mix. So it has been drying up really quickly, and apparently it is not happy. I mean, it's been really curly, which is a symptom of lacking in water, even though I've been watering it every 3 to 4 days. So it's not in an optimal condition. What I need to do is to give you a bigger pot, and maybe to also give you a potting medium that is with lesser perlite, because this is really drying the medium up really quickly. Okay, let's get him out of the pot. Just going to use a spoon to loosen the potting medium. I have not been watering it for the last few days, so I think it should be pretty dry. Oh, some of the roots are actually some of the roots have actually rotted off. So I'm just going to cut this off. Most of them are still looking pretty alright. Still pretty healthy looking roots. Okay, hold on, I'm just going to get a pair of scissors. Just when you think that the potting medium is really dry, you still have root rot. So I am not sure what's happening. But anyway, I'm going to snip these two roots off. The rest seem to be okay. Looks pretty healthy. So only these two. Okay, I'm just going to snip it off. Seems like there is a growing eye here. So hopefully we'll see new growth soon. I'm going to use a pot that is about 2 sizes up compared to the original. So I think this should be sufficient, and I'm going to use a medium that is less porous, less perlite. Just a regular potting mix, but I think there are some pumice inside as well, so you'll still be pretty well draining. Okay, as usual, I'm just going to use a piece of cocoa chip to put on at the bottom of the pot at the drainage hole so that the potting soil will not go through. Yep. Here goes. Okay, this is done. Hopefully I don't see these curly leaves anymore. Okay, I'm just going to give it some water. Whoa! I think that's too much soil. Okay, that's done. Okay, so I'm done with task number 2. Okay, for the next task, this is the Hoya pubicalyx splash. I got this 2-leaf cutting end November last year, so it's almost 6 months now, and it has given me a new leaf here, which is not really growing much, and a wonky little leaf that is not growing at all. The cutting is actually sitting in embedded in pieces of cocoa chips, so I suspect it's not getting much nutrients. It's sitting in my balcony out there under the bench, so it receives some indirect light. So I'm going to remove it from the husk and give it a proper potting mix. Oh, look at the roots. Okay, let's try to remove this from this little plastic nursery pot. I'm not sure how I can do this. Got to be careful not to tear the roots at the bottom. Look at those roots. Okay, I don't think I'm able to remove the cocoa chips from the plant because the roots are so entangled onto it. So what I think I'm going to do is just to pot it up with some soil, and I think it should be able to do well. I'm not sure whether is that the right way to do it. So if you know, can you please do comment below and let me know that I'm doing the right thing or not. Okay, let's do it. Okay, for this medium, I'm going to add more cocoa chips as This plant is actually so used to it. This pot is about double the size of this tiny pot. 3 times double. Okay, so with a bigger pot, I hope this Hoya pubicalyx will start to grow for me. Okay, next we are going to pot up these 2 cuttings that have been sitting in water for way too long. This one is the Hoya archboldiana, and this is my Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. If you refer to my previous video, I removed this from the main pot where you have 3 plants, and this is one of the plants that experience root rot. So I cut off the bad roots and then I potted it in water. And now check out the roots. Lots of roots. Wow. And also it has some new growth here. So it's really long overdue. Okay, let's do the Hoya first. Check out these roots. They shouldn't be in water for too long because these are water roots, and they need to get used to the change in medium. Once you pot it, I think we got to keep this moist and wet for the first week, and then subsequently reduce the watering. So yeah, let's pot this up. Okay, I'm going to use this this plastic nursery pot. I think it should be okay. Some cocoa chips, I'll put it at the base. Just going to mix it with more cocoa chips. I think the Hoya will appreciate this. You know what? Maybe I should use a taller pot because this is pretty long. So I think I'm going to use this one. This is taller. So yeah, slightly bigger as well, but okay, just going to transfer this into the new pot. Okay, let's pot up the Rhaphi, and this is the pot that I'm going to use, this pot size. I'm always worried of over potting it, but I think it needs this particular size because the other one is too small. And based on the size of this cutting and its root ball, I think this size is all right. Okay, yep, going to use this. Okay, as usual, I'm going to put some cocoa chips at the base and then put in some of the potting mix. I've added some more perlite inside so that this will be pretty well draining since I'm using a plastic pot. Just put a little bit. Let's take out the cutting. Okay. There is pumice in this mix as well, so it's going to be really porous. I'm going to add some slow release fertilizer. Okay, it's done. So if this grows bigger, I'm probably going to repot it again, but I'm going to give it a moss pole or a stick for it to climb up like the other two plants, two Rhaphi that I have. So yeah, this is really healthy looking. The leaves are actually bigger. So yeah, hope it will grow well. Okay, next I'm going to pot up these cuttings of this Elatostema repens or Pellionia repens, which is commonly known as the trailing watermelon begonia. This plant is definitely not a begonia or a watermelon plant for that matter. Okay, so this cuttings has been sitting in sphagnum moss for I think maybe 2 months now, so it's time to check on the roots and pot it up. I think not all the cuttings have rooted. I think I see this one is definitely not rooted yet. So, but anyway, I think it's quite hardy. I'm just going to put everything into a pot. Okay, this particular cutting is not rooted at all, even though there is a new leaf. I think there are actually two more cuttings here. Oh, I see roots. Let's go the third one. Going to be really gentle because I think the roots are really very fine and I don't want to break any of the roots. I think that's the only drawback of propagating with moss, is that the roots get stuck to them and it's really hard to remove them when it's time to pot up the cuttings. Okay, I think the roots are like barely there. Super fine. Just going to remove as much moss as possible. Got to be really careful not to break those roots. So I'm going to use this very small terracotta pot. Okay, and we are done. Just going to give it some water. This plant likes to be moist, but of course not overly sitting in wet soil. So keep it moist. I water it about once a week and with indirect sunlight. So, and it's doing pretty well. I mean, the parent plant is doing pretty well. Okay, after potting up some cuttings, now it's time to get more cuttings from my existing plants. Okay, this is a very leggy Epipremnum pinnatum variegata. Look at this. When I first got this cutting, it had only 4 leaves. And as you can see, they have this very nice white elbow variegation. And subsequently, it grew very quickly. I think now it's about 3 times bigger than the original cutting, and it has given me a lot of new leaves. And interestingly enough, the new leaves have yellow variegation. Let me try to move this so that you guys can see. Compared to the original leaves, the new ones are yellow. If you are familiar with the Epipremnum pinnatum, you'll know that this is still a very juvenile form. The leaves are still very young, because as this plant gets more mature, the leaves will be much bigger and there will be fenestrations. So if you look at the picture here, you will see that it looks a bit like a monstera elbow, with the same kind of fenestrations. Of course, the shape is different, but this is the mature look of the plant. In order for the plant to reach this mature state, they need a moss pole to actually climb. So as it climbs up the moss pole, you'll start to get bigger, the leaves will start to get bigger, and it will give you more fenestration. So this is what I'm trying to achieve. So what I'm going to do is to chop out this very long plant and get some cuttings from it, and then do an experiment to put some cuttings in water, perlite, and also sphagnum moss. As you can see, there are many nodes in between each leaf. So this is where the aerial roots and the growth are going to come out from. So what I can do is to cut in between the nodes and then pot it up in the different media. Okay, I got to decide how much to cut and how much to leave behind. My plan is to actually leave behind about maybe 4 of the original leaves. So maybe I will cut here, and then as I propagate the cuttings, I'm going to stick it back into the pot and give it a moss pole so that the plants can actually climb out the moss pole and hopefully give me bigger leaves and with fenestrations as well. Check out all the crazy aerial roots. So I don't think I have any issue propagating the cuttings. Okay, I've changed my mind. I'm going to leave 6 leaves behind. I think that should be sufficient. Okay, here goes. So this is the original plant and my long vine of cuttings. I'm going to chop this up and put it in different potting medium. Okay, so these are the cuttings. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 cuttings and also 2 wet sticks. So these they don't have any leaves on them, but they got good aerial roots, so I think they should be able to root really well. And this is the original mother plant. Hopefully I'll be able to give it the moss pole soon, together with the other cuttings, some of the cuttings. And okay, the first two I'm going to, instead of giving it other medium, I'm going to just use potting soil or potting mix because they got really long aerial roots. So I think they should do fine. Okay, so we are done. So these two goes directly into potting medium, potting soil. This is sphagnum moss. These 2 cuttings go into sphagnum moss together with the 2 wax sticks. And okay, I realize I don't have perlite, so I'm going to use pumice. So these 2 goes into pumice, and the last ones are in water. And of course, this is the mummy. Okay, I'm finally done with all my chores, and they are long overdue. But I'm glad the majority of them are done. And of course, the chores are never ending, but baby steps. So thank you for watching. If you like my contents, I hope you can subscribe to my channel and to like and comment on the videos. You'll help greatly. So I shall see you in my next video. Bye.